First of all, let me start by thanking Karl Smith, who initially invited me to become a sponsor of a student at Rwamagana Leader School. Karl and I met when my husband Mark and I traveled to Rwanda together, my first trip. And while we were there, of course, we had the opportunity to go to Rwamagana Leader School and to meet students and to see the amazing education that they offer. On our return, Karl called, asked if we would sponsor a student, and based on what I had seen and experienced, of course, I had to say yes. We knew right away that that was something that we would feel good about. And as it turned out, 7 years later, we are now sponsoring 2 students. And I just have to say, and would want those of you who are listening and watching to know that it is by far the most gratifying contribution we make in the year, for me. To sponsor a student at Rwamagana Leader School is $1,960. It's a small price to pay to know the difference that we are making in a child's life. Not everybody has the opportunity to go to school in Rwanda. Not every child can afford to go to a school that provides the kind of education that we are able to provide through the Rwanda School Project. So to become a sponsor was life-changing for me. To know that every dollar I spend goes to supporting these kids, these 2 girls that we sponsor, is an amazing feeling. I feel a direct impact from our contribution. So let me tell you a little bit about the numbers at our school. We currently have 189 students. Of those 189, 54 of them are receiving full tuition sponsorship. We have 56 sponsors altogether, 4 of whom are providing a half sponsorship for their students. So that together means that we have we have another 20 students who are attending the school but do not have a sponsorship, but need a sponsorship. You know, at our school, we are firmly committed to providing an education to those children who find their way to our school, who are dedicated to getting their education, who have demonstrated the ability and the tenacity to attend on a regular basis. We will educate them and not turn them away because they're not able to pay their tuition. We just won't. So we have 54 students receiving sponsorships, 20 more who need sponsorships. So 74 students out of our 189 need assistance. We have those 20 students, real boys and girls, going to school every day, receiving an education because of the Rwanda School Project. So for the coming year, we have set what we call a big, hairy, audacious goal that we are going to find, and I hope with your help, 20 new sponsors, that we are able to maintain the 56 sponsors we currently have while finding 20 more. Now, this concept of a big, hairy, audacious goal is not something that we made up. It is a concept that comes from a book called Built to Last. A book that was written by Jim Collins and Jerry Porras, published in 1994. And this concept of big, hairy, audacious goal, something that is familiarly or commonly called a BHAG, is one of the concepts. So this book is, the subtitle of the book is, it's Built to Last, Successful Habits of Visionary Companies. And there are 5 observable behaviors and mechanisms that are common in these companies that they studied, 15 companies they studied. Companies like Marriott and Disney, 3M, Procter & Gamble, companies that have done well and been in business for a long time have these common behaviors and mechanisms in place. And the first one is this concept of a BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. So for us to find 20 new sponsors is a BHAG, because in the 7 years I have been on our board, we have had 19 new sponsors. But at the same time, we have seen 19 sponsors move on to supporting other ventures. So our number of sponsors has remained the same, and yet the need of students has grown. So our BHAG is to keep and nurture the 56 sponsors we currently have and add these 20 new ones. So I just want to explore this concept of BHAG with you for just a little bit. Things about a BHAG. A good BHAG is clear and it's compelling. For me, knowing that we are looking for 20 new sponsors is very clear. It's compelling because we're talking about real children. I could give you the names of these 20 students who need sponsorships. And it's that kind of goal that drives those of us who are on the board, and I hope will help you find your mission as you think about whether or not you are able to become a sponsor. So another component of a BHAG is that they are aligned with our core ideology. Our core ideology for the Rwanda School Project is that we are going to educate students in Rwanda to raise up new leaders in a sustainable and an ethical environment, nurturing environment. That's our mission. It hasn't changed. So to look for 20 sponsors who will help us provide this education for these students is clearly in line, because we're not going to turn them away even if they can't pay. Another component of a BHAG is that they are constantly replaced by another once they've been achieved. And you know, the Rwanda School Project has a history of BHAGs, but long before we ever figured out we might call them that. Just think about it. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, Robin Strickler, as a Lutheran missionary in Rwanda, listening to the people in the areas of the villages around Rwamagana, asking them what do they need, and they needed a school. Girls needed a place to go to school. Parents needed a place for their children to go to school who valued education. And so Robin said, let's build a school. And she started teaching English to a group of 20 people in a classroom at a school down the road. Then Karl Smith visited with some people from his church in Santa Rosa. And they came back saying, they need a school, we're going to help them build a school. And they did. And they bought property. And then when they bought the property, they said, okay, their next goal was, oh, we need a classroom building. So they built the classroom building with 20 classrooms. That building got built. What was next? Oh, you know what? Our children are going to be better off if they can board nearby, because some of them live in villages very far away. So they set out on the goal of building a dormitory. And they did. And when the dormitory was built, they built a science lab, and then a kitchen, and a basketball court. Each of these goals had been set and accomplished, and now We are nearly finished with building a library and an administration building, adding a third science lab. It's a big, hairy, audacious goal. We're talking about building all of these buildings in Rwanda, Africa. Each time we've accomplished it, we've set another. So I have no doubt that we are going to be able to find 20 new sponsors, because it's clear. I feel compelled to help make it happen. It is totally in line with our school's mission, and we are very committed to making it so, because we do not intend to send these 20 students away. And it's going to be 20 this year. It may be 20 different next year. It may be one more, it might be one less, but we are going to make sure that these kids get an education. So a few things that we've been doing already to help nurture our sponsors and maybe encourage other people to become sponsors is, we send out a monthly newsletter, and if you're not getting it, I hope you will, because we've been purposeful in the past about including stories of students. People who are sponsors get a graduation announcement when our kids graduate. We send out Christmas card greetings, but maybe the form of communication that I enjoy the most is every year is when I get my students' profile. It's a summary of what's taken place at the school in the last year, but on the back are basically information from my student. The questions change every year, but the student always writes it, so it's in their hand. It's always in English, and I keep mine so I can look back over the year and see how my students are growing and developing, how their English is becoming stronger and better, and how they've matured over the years. So, and then one of the things that is new this year, that for sponsors who are interested, we've been able to set up the opportunity for sponsors to meet their students on Zoom. If the sponsor wants that, and if the student is willing, our school director, Moses, can help set that up for you. This are some things for you to think about. Will you please consider becoming a sponsor? $1,960 a year, or a half sponsor. You can pay this monthly, you can pay it quarterly, you can pay it by the year. But when I think about the value that my $2,000 per student brings, I'm amazed. As the former principal of Lincoln High School in Stockton, I spent a lot of time sitting in my high school classrooms and talking with kids and watching good teaching. That's what I saw in our school in Rwamagana. Kids are actually learning by doing. They're not just being lectured to. They are researching and presenting. But they need your help. So can you help us? Help us accomplish this BHAG. And know that the money that you contribute in making it so will go right to your student. There's no better feeling. So I thank you for your interest in the Rwanda School Project. If you have been a donor in the past, thank you, because your donations have made a difference. Thank you, and may God's peace be with you as you prayerfully consider this opportunity.